The crystal towers of Valar Prime touched the purple sky like frozen lightning. Princess Lyra stood on her balcony, watching 3 moons rise over the capital city. Her silver-blue skin caught the moonlight, making her glow softly in the darkness. She should have been happy. She was the crown princess of an empire that ruled 400 star systems. But tonight, her heart felt heavy. 5 years had passed since the humans came. Lyra remembered that day clearly. A small human ship had saved Valerian merchants from space pirates. It was the first time her people had met this new species from a distant blue planet called Earth. The humans were strange. They lived such short lives, barely 100 years. Valerians lived for thousands. To her people, humans were like candles that burned bright but went out too fast. 2 years ago, Earth sent its first ambassador to Valar Prime. His name was Kang Minho. Lyra was chosen to be his guide, to teach him about Valerian culture and customs. She had not wanted the job at first. What could she possibly learn from a species that lived such brief lives? She had been wrong. Minho arrived wearing a simple black suit, carrying a single bag. Most ambassadors from other species brought servants and mountains of luggage. He came alone. When he met the Valerian Council, he did not bow too low or speak with fake politeness. He looked them in the eye and spoke clearly. The council did not know what to make of him. Lyra's job was to show him everything. The floating gardens, the memory libraries, the temples of ancient thought. Minho looked at everything with curious eyes. He asked questions that no one had asked before. Why did Valerians avoid conflict? Why did they take centuries to make decisions? Why did they value calm above all else? Because we have time, Lyra had answered. We have thousands of years. There is no need to rush. Minho had smiled at that. We humans don't have that luxury. We have to make every moment count. The first time Minho made her laugh, Lyra did not know what was happening. Laughter was rare among Valerians. They appreciated humor intellectually, but the act of laughing, of letting sound burst from your chest uncontrolled, was considered primitive. Minho had told her a story about his childhood, about falling into a pond while trying to catch a frog. The way he told it, with dramatic gestures and silly voices, made something bubble up inside her. Before she knew it, she was laughing, really laughing. Minho had grinned. There it is. I knew you had it in you. Over the months, Minho taught her things she had never imagined. He showed her earth music, sounds that made her feel emotions she could not name. He taught her about cooking, actually preparing food over fire instead of simply synthesizing nutrients. He showed her recordings of human athletes pushing their bodies to impossible limits, of artists creating beauty from pain, of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. This is what drives us, Minho said once, watching a sunset from her balcony. We know our time is limited, so we don't waste it. We love harder, fight harder, live harder. Every moment matters because we don't have forever. Lyra began to understand. Humans were not candles burning out too fast. They were stars going supernova, packing incredible intensity into a short time. It was beautiful and terrifying. She started spending more time with him. They would walk through the gardens at night talking about everything. He told her about Earth, about its blue oceans and green forests, about its wars and its peace, about 7 billion humans all trying to find their way. She told him about Valerian philosophy, about the weight of living for millennia, about the loneliness of watching younger species rise and fall like waves. Somewhere in those long conversations, something changed. Lyra began to wait for his messages. She found herself thinking about his smile during council meetings. When he was away on diplomatic trips to other Valerian worlds, the palace felt empty. Minho felt it too. She could tell by the way he looked at her, by the way he found excuses to be near her, by the way his voice softened when he said her name. One night, under the 3 moons, Minho took her hand. It was such a simple gesture. Valerian's did not touch casually, but his hand was warm in hers, and it felt right. "This is probably a terrible idea," he said quietly. "Absolutely terrible," she agreed. He kissed her then. It was her first kiss. Valerians bonded through mental connection, but this physical touch, this very human way of showing affection, set her whole being on fire. They tried to keep it secret, but secrets are hard to keep in a palace full of telepaths. The Valerian Council found out within weeks. They summoned Lyra before them, their ancient faces showing rare emotion. Disapproval. "This cannot continue," the High Counselor said. "He is human. He will die in the span of a single one of your afternoons." "And then what? You will spend millennia mourning a mayfly?" "He is not a mayfly," Lyra said firmly. "He is more alive than anyone I have ever met. He is a distraction. Worse, he is a political problem. The human government watches this relationship carefully. There are those who would use it to control both Earth and our empire." Lyra did not understand then. She thought they were just being cruel, just dismissing Minho because he was different. For 2 years, she and Minho continued their relationship despite the Council's objections. They were careful, but they refused to hide completely. Minho said humans did not believe in hiding love. Love was meant to be celebrated, not buried. Then, one morning, Lyra woke up in her chambers and felt something was wrong. She reached out with her mind, trying to sense Minho's presence in the palace. Nothing. She rushed to his quarters. They were empty. His belongings were gone. His ship was gone. She checked the departure records. His ship had left in the middle of the night, heading back toward Earth. No flight plan filed, no message left, no goodbye. Lyra stood in his empty room, touching the furniture he had touched, and for the first time in her long life, she felt her heart break. She did not understand. Humans valued closure. They said goodbye. They explained. They did not just vanish. She returned to her chambers and cried. Real tears, another thing Minho had taught her to do. And through her tears, she whispered the question that would haunt her for the next 3 years. "Why did you leave me, human?" 3 years had passed. But the pain felt fresh every morning when Lyra woke up. She went through her royal duties like a ghost, smiling when required, attending ceremonies, reviewing treaties. But inside, she was hollow. At first, she tried the official channels. She sent formal requests to Earth's government, asking for information about Ambassador Kang Minho. The replies were always the same. "Ambassador Kang has returned to Earth. He is no longer in diplomatic service. We cannot provide further information." She tried sending personal messages to Minho's communication address. Every single one bounced back as undeliverable. It was as if he had never existed. The Valerian Council told her to forget him. "He was human," they said. "Brief and bright, now gone. Move forward with your long life, princess. There will be others." But Lyra did not want others. She wanted answers. The human she knew would not have left without a word. Something had happened. Something forced him to go. After a year of dead ends, Lyra started to investigate on her own. She used her royal access to review diplomatic records. She noticed something strange. Earth had been preparing a new trade agreement with the Valerian Empire, one that would have brought great benefit to both civilizations. But shortly after Minho left, Earth suddenly canceled all negotiations. Their ships stopped coming to Valerian space. They closed their borders. When Lyra asked why, the official statement said, "Cultural preservation protocols." Earth wanted to develop on its own without outside influence. But this made no sense. Earth had been eager to join the galactic community. What changed? Lyra began spending time in the palace archives, reading through classified reports. She learned things about galactic politics she had never paid attention to before. The Valerian Empire had a history of making protectorates out of younger species. They offered military protection and technology in exchange for loyalty and resources. It sounded generous, but in practice, these species lost their independence. One night, while digging through old intelligence files, Lyra found a reference to Minho. A report from 3 years ago, marked classified. It mentioned an encrypted message sent from Minho's ship just hours before he left Valar Prime. The message was addressed to Valerian intelligence, but it had been intercepted and sealed by direct order of the High Council. Lyra's hearts beat faster. Why would the Council intercept a message from Minho? What did he try to tell them? Breaking into the Intelligence Service archives was dangerous, even for a princess. But Lyra had learned something from Minho. Sometimes you had to take risks. Sometimes you could not wait for permission. She used her royal codes to access the building late at night. She knew the security systems, knew where the cameras were, knew which guards could be bribed with promises of future favors. Minho had taught her about improvisation, about thinking on your feet. She had thought it was just amusing human chaos. Now she understood it was a survival skill. The message was stored in a quantum vault, protected by layers of encryption. It took Lyra hours to break through. When she finally accessed it, her hope crumbled. The message was corrupted. Only fragments remained. Discovered the Council's true plan. Cannot allow. They will use her. Use Lyra as leverage against Earth. Force humanity into protectorate status. I won't let them take her future. This sacrifice is worth... The message cut off there. Lyra read it again and again. The pieces started to fit together. The Council had planned to use her relationship with Minho to control Earth. They would offer protection to humanity, but in reality, they would take Earth's independence. And if Earth refused, they would threaten Lyra, knowing Minho cared for her. Minho had found out, and he had done the only thing he could think of. He left. He ended their relationship to remove the leverage. He sacrificed their love to protect both her and his world. Lyra felt anger burn through her grief. The Council had manipulated them. They had destroyed something beautiful for politics and power. She requested an audience with the High Council the next day. She stood before them calm and cold and asked them directly. You knew about the Protectorate plan. You knew they would use me to control Earth. And you said nothing. The High Counselor's ancient face showed no emotion. It was necessary, Princess. Earth is a dangerous species. Passionate, aggressive, unpredictable. They needed guidance. They needed freedom, Lyra said. And you took it. You took Minho from me to make it happen. We saved you from a brief attachment that would have caused you millennia of pain. You should thank us. Lyra realized then that she would get no help from the Council. They saw humans as children to be managed, not equals to be respected. They would never tell her where Minho was or what happened to him. She made a decision that night. She would go to Earth herself. Her father, the Emperor, tried to stop her. Lyra, Earth has closed its borders. They are not accepting Valerian ships. You cannot just fly there. Then I will find a way, she said. This is madness. You are risking everything for a human who abandoned you. He did not abandon me. He saved me, and now I am going to find him. Stealing a scout ship was easier than she expected. Being a princess meant people did not question her too much. She filed a flight plan for a routine inspection tour of nearby systems. Once she was far enough from Valar Prime, she changed course toward Earth. She knew her father would send agents to bring her back. She had maybe a week before they caught up. The journey to Earth would take 3 weeks at maximum speed. She pushed the small ship as hard as it could go. During the long flight, Lyra studied everything she could about Earth. She watched their history files, learned about their wars and their peace treaties, their art and their music. She saw a species that had almost destroyed itself many times, but always found a way to survive. They were stubborn and creative, and absolutely refused to give up. She understood why the Council feared them. In another 1,000 years, humans might surpass the Valerian Empire, not because they lived longer or had better technology, but because they never stopped pushing, never stopped growing, never accepted limits. As Earth's blue sphere grew larger in her view screen, Lyra felt both excitement and fear. She was about to enter a world she barely understood, looking for a man who had left her 3 years ago. She had no plan, no contacts, no idea if Minho even wanted to see her. But she had learned one important lesson from humans. You did not need a perfect plan. You just needed determination and the courage to take the first step. The scout ship's alarms started blaring. Earth's defense satellites had detected her. Warning messages flooded her communication systems. Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. Leave immediately or you will be fired upon. Lyra transmitted her identification. This is Princess Lyra of the Valerian Empire. I request permission to land. I mean no harm. I am looking for someone. The response was cold. Request denied. Turn back now. Lyra looked at the blue planet below and made her choice. She shut off the communications and angled the ship toward the atmosphere. If they would not let her land, she would crash land. The defense satellites opened fire. The scout ship screamed through Earth's atmosphere, flames covering the view screen. Lyra fought with the controls as warning lights flashed everywhere. The defense satellites had damaged her engines. She was going down whether she wanted to or not. She aimed for a mountain range, hoping to avoid cities. The ship hit treetops first, tearing through branches, then slammed into a hillside and tumbled. Metal screeched, glass shattered. Lyra's head cracked against the control panel and everything went dark. When she woke up, pain filled her entire body. She was lying in the wreckage, blood running down her face. The ship's emergency systems were dead. She managed to crawl out through a broken panel and collapsed in the snow. Snow. She had never seen real snow before. It was cold and wet and beautiful. She lay there for a moment, looking up at Earth's single sun. It was yellow, not purple like Velar Prime's star. The light felt harsh on her silver-blue skin. She tried to stand, but fell. Her leg was badly hurt. The gravity here was stronger than she was used to. Everything felt heavy. Her body, her head, even breathing took effort. Lyra heard voices, humans, speaking a language she recognized from her studies, Korean. She had crashed somewhere in Korea. Footsteps crunched in the snow, getting closer. "Oh my God, is that a person?" a woman's voice said. "That's not a person, that's an alien," a man replied. "We should call the authorities. She's hurt. Look at all the blood." Lyra tried to speak but only managed a weak sound. Then she passed out again. She woke up in a warm room lying on a soft surface. A bed. Someone had bandaged her wounds and covered her with blankets. She opened her eyes and saw a young woman sitting nearby, watching her with concerned eyes. "You're awake," the woman said in Korean. "How do you feel?" Lyra's translator implant worked to convert the words. "Where am I?" she asked. "Seoul. You crashed in the mountains outside the city. My name is Lee Yuna. I found you and brought you here." "You should have called your authorities," Lyra said, confused. Yuna smiled. "I don't always do what I should. Besides, I know who you are. Princess Lyra of the Valerian Empire. Your picture has been all over the underground networks. You're looking for someone." "Minho," Lyra said. "Kang Minho. Do you know where he is?" Yuna's face grew serious. "I know of him, but finding him won't be easy. Earth has changed a lot in 3 years." Over the next few days, as Lyra recovered, Yuna explained what had happened. After Minho returned to Earth, he reported that the Valerian Council was planning to make Earth a protectorate. He warned the government that they needed to protect human independence. But his warning caused panic. A political group called Terra First used the fear to gain power. They said all aliens were threats. They said Earth needed to close its borders and trust no one. They staged a coup and took control of the government. Now Earth was isolated, suspicious, and anyone who had worked with aliens was considered a traitor, including Minho. He's been branded as someone who was compromised by his relationship with you, Yuna explained. Terra First says he put his feelings above humanity's safety. There's a warrant for his arrest. That's insane, Lyra said. He left me to protect everyone. I believe you, but Terra First doesn't care about truth. They care about power, and fear is powerful. Yuna ran a small cafe in Seoul that served as a secret meeting place for aliens who had stayed on Earth illegally and humans who did not agree with Terra First. She had contacts everywhere, people who whispered information and helped fugitives hide. When Lyra was strong enough to walk, Yuna took her out into Seoul. Lyra wore a hooded coat to hide her silver-blue skin and unusual features. She experienced Earth properly for the first time. The city was overwhelming. So many humans, all moving quickly, all living their brief, intense lives. The sounds, the smells, the colors, everything was so much more than the recordings had shown. She smelled food cooking from street vendors and her mouth watered. She heard music blasting from shops. She saw humans laughing, arguing, holding hands, crying, all these emotions displayed openly. It started to rain. Lyra had never felt rain before. Water falling from the sky, soaking into her clothes. It should have been uncomfortable, but it felt wonderful. Alive. Real. This is what Minho missed, she whispered. This is why he had to come home. They went to a small restaurant and Yuna ordered food. When it arrived, Lyra tasted real Earth food for the first time. Spicy soup with vegetables and meat. The flavors exploded in her mouth. It was nothing like the synthesized nutrients on Valar Prime. You really love it here, Yuna observed. I understand now, Lyra said, why humans are the way they are. You live in a world that is harsh and beautiful. You don't have thousands of years to experience things slowly. You have to taste everything, feel everything, live everything right now. It's terrifying and amazing. Through Yuna's network, Lyra learned more about what happened. Minho had indeed tried to warn Earth's government about the Valerian Council's plans. But when Terra First took over, they twisted his warning into evidence that he had been manipulated by alien influence. They said he had become too close to Lyra and could no longer think clearly. They're wrong, Lyra said firmly. Minho saw clearly. That's why he left. A man entered the cafe, moving quickly. He sat down at their table and looked at Lyra with sharp eyes. You're the princess, he said. It was not a question. I am, Lyra said, ready to fight or run. Relax. My name is Captain Nam Jinho, Earth Security. I knew Minho before all this happened. I served with him in the military years ago. Are you here to arrest me? I should, Jinho said. But I don't believe the official story. Minho was the most loyal human I ever met. If he warned us about the Valerian Council, he was telling the truth. And if he left you, he had a good reason. He did, Lyra said. They were going to use me against him, use our relationship to control Earth. He gave up everything to stop it. Jinho nodded slowly. That sounds like him, stupid, brave, and completely committed to doing the right thing even when it hurts. Do you know where he is? Maybe. There are rumors. Some say he's dead, killed by Terra First. Others say he's hiding, working on something big. There's been talk about a research station in the Arctic, heavily guarded. Official records say it's for climate monitoring, but my sources say Terra First keeps something important there. Or someone, Yuna added. Lyra stood up. Then that's where I need to go. It's not that simple, Jinho said. The place is locked down tight. Guards, surveillance, everything. You can't just walk in. Then I won't walk, Lyra said. I'll find another way. I've come too far to stop now. Jinho studied her for a long moment. Then he smiled. You know what? I believe you, and I'm sick of Terra First and their lies. I'll help you. But we need a plan. Over the next week, they prepared. Jinho gathered information about the Arctic facility. Yuna provided equipment and forged documents. Lyra trained, getting used to Earth's gravity, learning to blend in better, practicing human fighting techniques that Minho had shown her years ago. Every night, she looked up at Earth's single moon and wondered if Minho could see it too. Was he in that Arctic base? Was he thinking of her? Did he know she had come all this way to find him? "Hold on," she whispered to the moon. "I'm coming." The Arctic wind cut through Lyra's thermal suit like knives. She crouched behind an ice ridge, watching the research facility through binoculars. It looked innocent enough from the outside, a collection of white buildings, satellite dishes, landing pads for aircraft. But the guards and weapons told a different story. Jinho crouched beside her, checking his equipment. "I still think this is crazy," he said. "There are at least 30 guards down there." "Then we'll be quick," Lyra replied. They had traveled north with help from Jinho's military contacts, who questioned Terra First's rule. Yuna had stayed in Seoul, ready to broadcast any evidence they found. The plan was simple: sneak in, find Minho, get out. Simple plans never worked perfectly, but they were better than complicated ones. Before they left Seoul, they had met one more person, a journalist named Choi Dae-hyun, who had been investigating Terra First for 2 years. He had boxes of evidence, but nowhere safe to publish it. "The premier of Terra First is named Kang Nari," Dae-hyun had told them. "She's Minho's distant cousin. She used the family connection to make the betrayal seem more personal. She claims Minho chose an alien princess over his own species." "But that's not true," Lyra had said. "Truth doesn't matter to people like her. Only power matters. But I've been digging, and I found something interesting. Nari knew about the Valerian Council's plan before Minho returned to Earth. She let it happen because she wanted to use the fear. She wanted to create Terra First and take control. She used Minho," Lyra realized. "She needed him to play the traitor so she could be the hero." "Exactly. And I think Minho figured this out. That's why he's in that Arctic base. Terra First says he's there voluntarily, helping with research. But my sources say he's basically a prisoner." Now, looking at the facility, Lyra felt her anger return. These humans had trapped Minho, lied about him, used him as a political tool, just like the Valerian Council had done. Both sides claimed to protect their people, but really they just wanted control. "Ready?" Jinho asked. Lyra nodded. They moved down the ice ridge, using the storm as cover. The facility's sensors were strong, but Lyra's Valerian technology could disrupt them for short periods. She activated a small device Yuna had modified. It would give them a 5-minute window. They reached the outer fence and cut through. 2 guards passed nearby, but the storm was loud enough to hide small sounds. Lyra and Jinho slipped between buildings, heading for the main research lab where Jinho's sources said Minho was kept. The door was locked with electronic security. Jinho pulled out a hacking device, but Lyra stopped him. She placed her hand on the panel and used her telepathic abilities to sense the electronic patterns. Valerians were not good with machines the way humans were, but they could sometimes feel the energy flow. After a moment, she found the right pattern, and the door opened. "That's a useful trick," Jinho whispered. Inside, the building was warmer and bright with artificial lights. They moved through empty corridors, Lyra following the sense of human presence. She could feel life nearby. One presence felt familiar, like a half-remembered song. Minho. They found him in a laboratory, alone, working at a computer. He looked thinner than Lyra remembered. Tired. His black hair was longer and he had not shaved in days. But it was him. After 3 years of searching, he was right there. Lyra's hearts pounded so hard she thought they would burst. She opened the door slowly. Minho looked up. When he saw her, his face went through several emotions in seconds: shock, joy, fear, and then carefully constructed coldness. "You shouldn't be here," he said in a flat voice. "I came to find you," Lyra said, stepping into the room. Jinho stayed by the door, keeping watch. "You wasted your time." Minho turned back to his computer. "Go home, princess. There's nothing for you here." "Don't do that," Lyra said, walking closer. "Don't pretend you don't feel anything." "I don't. Whatever we had, it was just part of my mission. I was gathering information, getting close to the royal family. It worked. I learned what I needed and came home." The words hit Lyra like physical blows. But she had learned to read human emotions from Minho himself. She saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands gripped the desk too tight, the slight tremor in his voice. "You're lying," she said softly. "Believe what you want." Minho's voice stayed cold, but he would not look at her. Lyra walked around the desk and grabbed his chair, forcing him to face her. "Look at me. Look at me and tell me you never loved me." Minho met her eyes. For a moment, the mask cracked. She saw the pain there, deep and raw. Then he looked away. "I never loved you. You were a job, that's all." "Then why did you send that message to the Valerian Intelligence Service, the one warning them about the Council's plan? Why did you say you couldn't let them use me?" Minho's face went pale. "How did you—" "I found the message fragments." "I know what you did. You discovered the conspiracy. You left me to protect both our worlds. You sacrificed everything because you're an idiot who thinks he has to save everyone alone." Tears ran down Lyra's face, real human-style tears. "You taught me to cry. You taught me to laugh. You taught me what it means to really live. And then you left without a word, and I had to figure out why on my own." Minho's carefully built walls crumbled. "I had to," he whispered. "They were going to use you to control Earth. The Council, Terra First, everyone saw our relationship as leverage. As long as we were together, both sides could manipulate us. I had to cut the connection." "You could have talked to me. We could have found another way." There was no other way. Minho stood up, and suddenly they were very close. "I couldn't risk your future. I couldn't risk your world. I couldn't risk my world. Leaving you was the only choice." "It was a stupid choice," Lyra said. "Probably." Minho reached up and gently touched her face, wiping away tears. "But I'm good at those." For a moment, they just stood there, close enough to feel each other's breath. 3 years of pain and longing filled the space between them. "I've been working on something," Minho said quietly. "Evidence? Proof that both the Valerian Council and Terra First manipulated everyone. Documents, recordings, communications. I've been gathering it all, waiting for the right moment to release it." "Then let's release it now," Lyra said. "It's not that simple. Terra First has—" An alarm blared through the building. Red lights flashed. Jinho burst into the room. "We've got company. Someone triggered the security system. Lots of soldiers heading this way." Minho moved quickly, pulling a data chip from his computer. "Everything's on here. If this gets out, both our governments fall apart and have to rebuild honestly." He handed the chip to Jinho. "Get this to Daehyun. He'll know what to do." "What about you two?" Jinho asked. "We'll hold them off," Minho said. "That's suicide." Minho looked at Lyra. She looked back. Without words, they understood each other. If they were going down, they were going down together. "Just go," Lyra said to Jinho. "Make sure the truth gets out." Jinho hesitated, then nodded. He took the chip and ran. Minho and Lyra faced the door as footsteps thundered closer. Minho picked up a piece of equipment to use as a weapon. Lyra stood beside him, ready to fight. "Together?" Minho asked. "Together," Lyra agreed. The door burst open and soldiers poured in. The soldiers surrounded them, weapons pointed. Minho stood protectively in front of Lyra, holding a metal rod he had grabbed from the lab equipment. It would not do much against guns, but he held it anyway. "Stand down, Ambassador Kang," the lead soldier said. "You're under arrest for treason." "I'm not an ambassador anymore," Minho replied calmly. "And you're following orders from a dictator." "That's Premier Kang Nari to you. She's coming here personally to deal with the alien threat." "I'm not a threat," Lyra said, stepping beside Minho. "I came here looking for someone I care about. That's all." "You're a Valerian princess. Your people want to control us. The Premier says you're here to finish what you started." "The Premier is lying," Minho said. "And I can prove it. I've been gathering evidence for 2 years. Everything's documented. The conspiracy, the manipulation, all of it." "Where's this evidence?" the soldier asked suspiciously. "Getting uploaded to every news network on Earth right about now," Minho said, checking his watch. He was bluffing. They needed to buy Jinho more time. The soldier's radio crackled. "Sir, we're detecting unauthorized transmissions from the facility. Multiple sources." Minho smiled. Maybe he was not bluffing after all. Jinho must have found a way to start broadcasting while escaping. "Lock them down," the soldier ordered. "No one transmits anything." But it was too late. In Seoul, Dae-hyun received the data chip from one of Jinho's contacts. He immediately began uploading everything. Documents showing the Valerian Council's plan to make Earth a protectorate. Communications between Terra First leadership, proving they knew about the plan before Minho's return. Evidence that Premier Nari had used the crisis to seize power. Recordings of Minho's original warning, the one Terra First had hidden. The truth spread across Earth's networks like fire. People in Seoul started gathering in the streets, watching the evidence on their phones and public screens. Within hours, the whole world knew. Back at the Arctic facility, Premier Kang Nari arrived by aircraft. She was a tall woman with sharp features and cold eyes. She walked into the laboratory, flanked by more soldiers. "Hello, cousin," she said to Minho. "You've been very busy." "Not as busy as you, apparently. Building a dictatorship, making up enemies, trapping me here for 2 years." "I saved humanity," Nari said. "The Valerians wanted to control us. I stopped them." "By becoming the thing you claim to fight against?" Lyra asked. "You control Earth through fear. How is that different?" Nari's cold gaze turned to Lyra. "A Valerian princess in my facility. Perfect. I was going to use your cousin's relationship with you as propaganda, but having you here in person is even better. I'll execute you publicly as a declaration of Earth's independence." "You'll start a war," Minho said. "Let them come. Humanity will fight. We always do." "Not for you," a new voice said. Jinho walked into the room, no longer trying to hide. Behind him came more soldiers, but these ones pointed their weapons at Nari's guards, not at Minho and Lyra. "Captain Jinho," Nari said, voice dripping with contempt. "I should have known you'd be involved. You always were soft on aliens." "I'm not soft. I just know the difference between protection and oppression. Your evidence is all over the news now. People are seeing the truth. People will believe what I tell them to believe." "Not anymore," another voice said. An older man in a military uniform entered. He had gray hair and hard eyes. Minho straightened when he saw him. "Admiral Hwang Suho," Minho said, surprised. "I thought you supported Terra First." "I supported protecting Earth," Suho replied. "Not tyranny. I've been watching you, Minho. Watching and waiting. I knew you were gathering evidence. I made sure you stayed alive long enough to finish." Suho turned to Nari. "It's over, Premier. Half the military has turned against you. The people are in the streets demanding answers. You're finished." Nari's face twisted with rage. She pulled out a weapon and pointed it at Lyra. "Then I'll take the alien with me." Minho moved before anyone else could react. He threw himself between Nari and Lyra just as Nari fired. The energy blast hit him in the chest, and he fell. "No!" Lyra caught him as he collapsed. "No, no, no! Stay with me!" Minho's breathing was shallow. Blood spread across his shirt. He looked up at Lyra with fading eyes. "Sorry. Took me so long to say it. I love you." Jinho and Suho's soldiers disarmed Nari and took her into custody. But Lyra only had eyes for Minho. She pressed her hands to his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "Don't you dare die on me," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Not after I traveled across the galaxy to find you, not after everything. At least, I got to see you one more time," Minho whispered. "Shut up. You're not dying. I won't let you." A soldier ran up. "The medical team is coming, but it'll take time. The wound is bad." Lyra made a decision. Valerians had healing abilities, but using them on other species was dangerous. The biological differences could cause rejection, could kill both patient and healer. But doing nothing would definitely kill Minho. She placed her hands on his chest and closed her eyes. Silver-blue light began to glow from her palms. She reached deep into her biological reserves, channeling energy into Minho's failing body. She felt his heartbeat, weak and stuttering. She wrapped her life force around it, supporting it, strengthening it. The humans watched in amazement as the wound slowly began to close. Minho gasped, his eyes opening wider. The color returned to his face, but the healing took its toll on Lyra. She swayed, exhausted. Minho caught her before she fell. "You saved me," he said, holding her. "We're even now," she replied weakly. The medical team arrived and checked them both. Minho would need rest but would recover fully. Lyra had depleted her energy but would be fine in a few days. Over the next weeks, everything changed. Premier Nari was arrested and put on trial. The evidence Minho gathered proved that she had manipulated the crisis for power. Terra First fell apart as its lies were exposed. On Valar Prime, the Emperor confronted the council members who had planned the Protectorate scheme. They were stripped of their positions. The Emperor himself sent a message to Earth, apologizing for the manipulation and promising true partnership instead of control. Earth's legitimate government was restored. They began negotiating new agreements with the Valerian Empire, this time as equals. Minho was cleared of all false charges and offered his old position as ambassador. He accepted, but with one condition. He would serve alongside Lyra as co-ambassador. The Valerian Empire agreed. Lyra gave up her position as crown princess, choosing instead to work as a diplomat. Her father supported her decision, proud that she had chosen her own path. 6 months after the crisis, Minho and Lyra stood in Yuna's cafe in Seoul. It had become a symbol of hope, a place where humans and aliens could meet openly. The cafe was crowded with both species, talking, laughing, sharing food. Daehyun was there, working on his next story. Jinho stopped by in his new uniform as head of the Cultural Exchange Security Force. Suho visited when his duties allowed. Dr. Park Hana, Minho's friend and a scientist studying human-alien relations, had become a regular. Even Yuna had expanded her cafe into a chain, spreading the message of cooperation. Lyra and Minho watched the crowd together. They held hands openly now, no longer hiding. "Do you ever regret it?" Lyra asked. "Everything you went through?" Minho thought about the question. The pain of leaving her, the 2 years trapped in the Arctic, the near-death experience, the political nightmare. "Humans don't live long enough for regrets," he said, echoing what he had told her years ago. "Every moment with you, even the goodbye, even the pain, made me more alive than I'd ever been." Lyra leaned her head on his shoulder. She finally understood what he meant. Life was not about how long you lived. It was about how deeply you felt, how bravely you loved, how fully you experienced each moment. Thank you, she said. For what? For teaching me to really live. Minho smiled. Thank you for coming back for me. They stood there as the cafe buzzed with life around them, human and alien, working together, learning from each other. It was not perfect. There were still problems, still prejudices, still conflicts to resolve, but it was honest, it was real, and it was beautiful. Outside, Earth's sun set over Sol, painting the sky orange and pink. Lyra watched the colors and thought about how far she had come. From the crystal towers of Velar Prime to this crowded, chaotic, wonderful blue planet. From a princess who had never questioned her life to a woman who chose her own destiny. Minho squeezed her hand. Ready for the next adventure? Lyra smiled. Always. And together, they walked forward into whatever came next.